Welcome. In this video tutorial, we're going to talk about working with fire hydrants on your tactical map. Now, if you have not yet watched the video tutorial on working with waypoints, that's working with sticky and tactical waypoints, I'd highly recommend you watch that because many of the principles on how you work with hydrants is very similar to working with waypoints. Let's switch over to our tactical map on this fire alarm, and let's look at the map surrounding this particular alert. And the very first thing you need to remember about hydrants is you're not going to see them if they're not turned on. So in your map settings slide out menu, you can see that currently we have the hydrants turned off. Now there are three selections for turning hydrants on. The first one is hydrants on for 1,000 feet. Now this is going to display hydrants within 1,000 feet of the incident location. So you can see that we have all the hydrants located within 1,000 feet of this particular location displayed now on the map. The second option is for displaying hydrants within 5,000 feet. And now you can see that we have far more hydrants because we're moving all the way out almost a mile from the location of this particular incident. The third selection that we have is to turn hydrants on in what we call follow me mode. So if you turn hydrants on to follow, and then we take and relocate the map to our location, you can see that the hydrants around our location, this is us right here, Chief 4, and all the hydrants within 1,000 feet of our location are now displayed on the map. Now if you have that setting turned on and you're driving down the road, all of the hydrants around you at any given moment 1,000 feet out are going to display on the map. So if you're just out doing hydrant testing or flow testing, that's the selection that you're going to want to use to display the hydrants in your immediate vicinity. Now we're often asked the question, why don't you just display all the hydrants all the time? Well, if you're in a big city such as Little Rock, Arkansas, you're going to have 15,000 hydrant points on your map at any given time. Not only does it clog the map up, but it makes the map slower to respond to your actions like zooming in or zooming out. So to make the map as responsive as we can, we only show a limited number of hydrants at any given time. Now let's go back and we'll set the hydrants for 1,000 feet around the incident, and we'll relocate ourselves back to that alert. Now the hydrant points, as with anything else, are interactive. So if we tap on any of these hydrant points, it's going to bring up additional information about the hydrant. Now this information typically comes from your water company at the time that StreetWise sets up your account. So we get GIS files from your utility companies and we convert those and put them into StreetWise. And we take information from what's called the attribute table or the data table attached to that GIS, and we format it for display on the screen. So this is going to vary based on what we're able to obtain from your water company. It may give us main sizes or location notes, the number of outlets on the hydrant, maybe a hydrant identification number, things like that. So we can display that information in these pop-up display fields. Now there are also, just as with the waypoints, ways that you can edit or work with these hydrants. For instance, right now we're just displaying all of our hydrants as a generic hydrant point. But let's say that we wanted to make this hydrant stand out for some reason, or maybe have it color-coded based on its flow rating. So first we can tap on it. We can see that it flows in excess of 4,000 gallons per minute. Now if we tap on that box, then we go into the edit mode. It's going to show the information that we were given from the attribute table of the GIS file, but down here we have other selections for icons that we can use. If we wanted to, we could change it to a blue icon, which is going to indicate a hydrant with a rating that would match what we're seeing for the flow value of this particular hydrant. We can also, if we wanted to mark it temporarily out of service, we can give it this out of service icon. Let's do that for a moment. We'll say OK. And you can see that now this is an out of service hydrant. It's still located on the map, but it's marked out of service so that someone would avoid using that until such time as it's repaired and marked back in service. It is also possible to delete the hydrant completely. So again, if we tap on this, we have the option to delete the hydrant. Now it won't actually delete it from our database, but it will mark it as inactive or disabled, meaning that it will no longer appear on the map. From the web portal, you can go back in and turn it back on if you wish. What about adding a new hydrant? Well, this is particularly handy if you want to display drafting points that may not be part of your public water supply. Let's imagine that at the end of this road there was a suction point where we could draft water from a small pond or swimming pool or cistern. Well, we can come over to our map actions and we can hit Add Hydrant, and then we'll tap on the map at the point where we want the hydrant to appear. So let's put it at the end of this road. Again, we're given the option to select an icon, and in this case we're going to select this small icon. A little hard to see in this video tutorial, but it's a small suction point icon. We'll select that and we will type in drafting point 200 feet 12-foot lift. So we'll put a little bit of information about that drafting point in, and then we'll hit OK. Now, as long as we're close enough to the incident, we would see that hydrant appear, but your first thought is, well, where'd the hydrant go? Well, remember, we just placed a hydrant that's outside of the 1,000-foot range. So we'll simply come back over here, turn the hydrants on to 5,000 feet, and now we have that suction point appearing. When we tap on it, it tells us it's a suction point, drafting point 200 feet and a 12-foot lift. So we have some idea of the conditions of that drafting point before we ever get there to use it. So that's how we can add hydrants and delete hydrants and make changes or edits to the icons of the hydrants themselves.